Welcome, good to see all you guys. My name is Greg Wood. I'm a black belt in Pager Sour, and been doing jiu-jitsu a long time. And this class is annoyingly surprising submissions from here and there. And this one got voted up. And I was kind of glad because this is fun to me. The kind of jiu-jitsu that I think I like the most, we were talking about this over lunch, is kind of like neener jiu-jitsu, like where that Simpson character would be ha ha. I've always liked the moves. I always like that impish style where the move comes out of nowhere and it's a surprise to the guy. And there's like a long line of guys like this, right? Like if any of you guys like Jeff Glover, he's this kind of guy. And if any of you guys have heard of Nino Schembri, like back in the Carlson days, like he was kind of this guy. He was the smaller guy among a bunch of like big tough guys, but tore people up with sort of moves they didn't expect and moved in ways they didn't expect. So these are just a bunch of submissions that I do. I think you'll probably see one you haven't seen before. We're just gonna jump right in. The first couple are gonna be wrist locks. You can wear a gi or no gi. I'm wearing no gi so that it's a little bit easier for you to see what I'm doing in close quarters with Sean, who's gonna help me out. So I actually just wanna start with a basic look at a wrist lock from an unusual place. A wrist lock will happen anytime, anytime you have total control, like they cannot withdraw or move their elbow, total control over the elbow, and this type of wrist lock anyway is going to be toward the pale side of the arm. Bring the hand toward the pale side of the arm, right? So, and that's where we're going to get the tap. You control the elbow, you always need those two things, and you move the hand. And wrist locks were a favorite thing of mine for a while, and I discovered this one because I had a partner who had a killer guillotine. And it was quick, and if you were in it, you were either tapping out or you were turning over to get away and then tapping out from there. So I made up this counterattack. But first I want to just start from the end of this move, right? I'm going to start from the end of this move so you know where you're going, and it's going to be right here. So he's going to kneel, and consider this a movement drill to warm up. I'm going to lay down across the front of him. He's going to just put his hand, back of his hand on my chest, and my chest is going to be the thing that bends his wrist. And my two hands are going to be what holds his elbow, okay? So this is like a rudder. I can control the angle of his arm. I can control him left, right. So like a big, arcade game controller, his arm, right? But one thing you're going to need to know for the wrist lock is I'm not pushing on the end of his arm here to finish a wrist lock. I need to get to the end of the lever on the hand. So the hand being a lever, the end of the lever is at the knuckles, right? So when he puts his hand on me, don't be pulling his wrist into your chest. Look to pull the knuckles in, and you're going to need to make this angle here, more acute in order to finish. And you want to keep the bend in his arm. Here, he's going to tap. So just do a few of those where you've laid across the front of your partner who is kneeling, knuckles are on your chest, find the elbow with two hands, move it around a little bit, and just get comfortable doing it from here. You'll also be getting used to where his end of range is, that end feel, so that nobody gets hurt when you end up doing this one or with your partner. All right, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. All right. So this move is I'm in his butterfly guard. Like I said, he knows what I'm talking about. We have a friend with these quick snap down guillotines. Boom, puts it in. Yeah. Okay. So what I came up with was well, what if I can control his elbow and like hit this kind of wrist lock where I use my chest on the knuckles, right? So let's try this. When he puts this in, let's just for people do it a little bit differently, but let's just grab each other's chin. I think that's a good place to start on his attack. He's gonna grab my chin. When I reach across, I would say this is gonna be the hand that kind of pulls, but this hand is the one that locks in his hand. So when I reach across, you can see, so those of you guys sitting over here can see that actually helps bend his wrist, that starts to bend his wrist. But if I just do this, it's not enough. I found that it's not enough. You can try and hit it from here and maybe less success. I have always, to help increase that angle, rolled with it and finished it here. So what it feels like is I'm like a key turning into a tumbler, and I'm catching the wrist lock as I turn. I would say that the more important of the two hands, because you can get the left, in this case left, the one that reaches across is the one that creates the pocket that puts his hand in. Right? So he puts the guillotine on, and I'm already in my submission. That'll be a more real-time one. I'll do it again slow, and I'll change angles if you want. He's here. I'm going to control this. Obviously, I need to start putting an elbow. I need to start controlling this rudder as well early on. So I can't let it do this, because we'll turn over, and it's just going to turn into something terrible. So I do want to use the rudder. One of the first things I do when I reach across is I want to get his arm pointed right into my chest, not across my chest, because it'll slip past. So when he sinks it, here, and not here. Okay? This is definitely a surprise. This will definitely be a surprise to your opponents, and you catch it a couple times, they're going to hate you. And, but it doesn't become less effective. Right? And I have got this on high level guys. So this is maybe not a high percentage submission, but it's a real submission that you can really catch guys with, especially because people won't have seen it before. Let's try it. 3, 2, 1. If you guys have questions, just raise your hand, I'll come over. I got a few questions that made me want to just issue a little update on this. One thing I didn't say that's really important, and I only saw a couple people not doing it this way, is to turn to face the choking arm, and that's a concept that's really everywhere. If he puts a choke on, even if I just want to escape the guillotine, there's no more guillotine when I face the choking arm. This is the elbow of the choking arm I'm turning to face, so I want to make sure I mention that. The other thing is, I had a question about hand placement, his hand placement, and about just how I'm trapping the hand. If there are slight variations. So one of the first questions I got was, what if it is deep? And then I got another question from somebody else, which was almost the same question, which was, hey, his hand's ending up more near my shoulder than holding my jaw. And that's okay. That's okay. Because some people will put in sort of the old school, the deeper guillotine. If it's deeper, I actually have even better ability to bend his wrist right here, because I can create a pocket really nicely right here. So if his hand goes deep, that's even better. That's fine. That's fine. You'll have just the same grip. I don't think I'll give you guys, if it's okay, more practice time on this now, because I'd like to get through. I have about 5 of these, and then at the end you go back and work your favorite one, and I'll come around with questions, all the questions. But I just want to say, in creating your pocket, it's okay if it's deeper, and make sure you turn the right direction. Okay. So another wrist lock that's not unlike the first one here on the side of me. Not unlike the first one, not exactly the same, is from the bottom of kesa gatame. Well, I guess it's kazuri kesa gatame, where he's under my arm on one side. It should be your number one priority not to let your elbow come up on this side. So I'm pushing off this foot, getting heavy, dropping this elbow. So I want to be clear that the elbow closer to my guy, I'm keeping on the ground because I'm keeping that safe. It is the other hand, it's my far hand and his far hand that I'm trying to connect, okay? So when this hand comes into reach for me, I'm gonna create a grip. The grip is just holding without my thumb, just like this, holding his pinky. It isn't a grip where I'm trying to create any more control than just to make this a tight grip, right? If he moves his hand around, it's all good. I'll follow him. I'm tracking it. I'm not controlling it. The only time I'll try to control it is when he comes in like near orbit to my chest, right? If he gets a little closer to me, I'm gonna try to put the back of his hand on my chest. It's easier to put the back of his hand on my chest because of the grip that I have. When he comes close, put the back of his hand on my chest. I'm gonna reach up with this one and I can finish like this, or you can use 2 hands if you're sure you put it in a good pocket, which would either be on your bicep kind of or in the crease, in your armpit crease, right? So this one's very simple. I'm in the bottom here. I'm heavy on this foot to be heavy on this elbow. Do not want this arm picked up, and you guys who have trained know why. I'm trying to catch his pinky, and then I'll just track it. This is super annoying. Sometimes people just go to side mount. I like being in the bottom of side mount better than this position anyway, so that's fine with me if he gets frustrated and switches. But this is just a grip I create. I track it. I don't care. If he pulls it back to his side, that's okay. I'm just connected. But if it comes near me, I'm trying to just influence it so the back of the hand is on my chest, and then I'll reach up and I'll pull down on the tricep. That's on my chest, on my nipple. I can do it in the crease of my armpit, boom, or I can put it right on my bicep, as long as what I'm doing is putting pressure on the knuckles. Again, not the back of his wrist, but on his knuckles, because that's the end of the lever, which is the back of the hand. Okay. If I want you to do that one, pretty loose wrist. For me to be able to just put the back of his hand on my chest, pretty loose wrist. If he has a stronger wrist, a straighter wrist, I can do this. Put his thumb on my tattoo and roll it in, and then you should be able to get it, okay? So if he's got that straighter wrist, right? Even he's making fist, yeah. And I'm moving this, which they will a lot of times. It's kind of grabbing me back. And I can't put the back of his hand on because he's got a stronger wrist. I'll put his thumb on my tattoo and roll it in. And what you get is it turns over into this shape, and then you can finish it, okay? And this one you get to just hang out. You both look real comfy, right? So let's try this move. 3, 2, 1. One of the names I mentioned in the beginning of class was Nino Shembri. I know that this is a Nino Shembri move. There actually is a video of him doing this in his episode of Rolled Up, if you want to look it up. I think he has maybe a couple other things from this position too. But this is turning a bad position into your favor a little bit. in an unexpected way. And there's a move here. It's from the bottom of side mount. And another person who teaches this move, who I know teaches it and teaches it very well, because he taught it last time I saw him, is Croyler Gracie, who does seminars as well. He's a great teacher. Were you the one? Yeah. You missed out. Yes. So from the bottom of side mount, this is why I say this is unexpected. This does not look like the kind of thing you want to do, especially given, and as Globetrotters, if you've watched some of the videos or been in some of the classes, you know that we usually don't give up this space, but in this case I'm going to. He's on top of side mount. I'm going to turn on my side to face away, hold his head, and I'm going to hold my own leg here. This is to make it harder to posture up. Usually arms in here. If it's not, that's okay too, because there are a couple moves from here. So this position, even on a bigger guy, and I'm telling you, most of my partners, Mike's my smallest student. Mike right there, 700 pounds, smallest student, 7 feet tall. So trust me, I've been the little guy everywhere I trained, and for 22 years. So I'm holding my leg, I've got him down, even if he's like picking me up, me hanging off him, this is an effective position, trust me. Okay. If his hand isn't in front of me, we're not going to do this move. I'm going to show it to you, and maybe you'll want to practice it. If his hand is not in the mix, if I can back up and get my hips underneath him, I can actually reverse him here. So that's one of the things about this position is it's almost like I'm not going to know the judo name for the throw, but it's almost like I can set up a judo throw from down here. Okay, but if his arm is in front of me, and that's to like help post and like keep himself from getting rolled. Yes. I'm going to have access to grab his wrist, but not from here, not with his elbow in the pocket, in the hip pocket. I can't reach his wrist. It's too close. Me too. Right? So if you have trouble when you're doing this move, don't forget this step. Step 1, turn on your side and hold your leg. Step 2, don't forget step 2. You have to get on your elbow. I have to lay on my elbow. So I'm going to roll away from him, get my elbow underneath me. Now I can reach his wrist. Okay? So I'm going to get a hold of his wrist here. Now, the move is an Americana from down here, so that just to spoil the surprise. But one of the things you're going to find, because there's going to be a lot of variation in the size and flexibility of your opponents. I'm someone who my hand doesn't even touch the ground. So very Americana prone. If they are just not very flexible, I want you to know these 2 things about this step. 1, the closer I get to him, the more it might be easy for me if I'm the inflexible one to get my leg over. Okay? The closer I get to him, like bring your hips closer to your guy. The other thing is yes, we're going to do an Americana from down here, but don't bring this out to your foot and try to catch an Americana here. It will not work here. You really do want it in your knee pit. So instead of getting in trouble where you have like kind of a bad grip down here, bring his hand to his ear and just leave enough space for your leg. And your leg should fit in there. Now it's in your knee pit, right? So I would say that's the guide. Bring his hand up, and you should be able to reach it here. You can figure 4 or not, but you can. But now it doesn't matter that I'm holding my leg, it matters that I'm holding his head. Not for Sean, definitely not for me, but somebody here is so flexible that you're going to need to control the head just to bring the arm away from the head, which is ultimately what gets you the tap, okay? So, I'm on the bottom of the side mount. Step 1, set up this position. This is kind of a no-no position, but let's play with it. So set up your no-no position. Step 2, get on your elbow. It won't work without getting on your elbow. You won't even find the wrist. So I have to get up on my elbow. I rock my weight onto my shoulder to do that. Find his wrist. Don't straighten his arm. Put his hand by his ear, step over. You can figure 4 if you want. But now the finishing grip is I'm going to hold his head. No grip, necessarily, whatever. Just holding his head. And I'm bringing his hand away from his ear, or his ear away from his hand. Okay, let's try this Americana from the bottom of side mount. 3, 2, 1. There's 2 more on my list, and we have plenty of time to do 2 moves and give you some time to practice your favorites. So as we go, you'll probably think of like, I want some more time to review that one. No problem. I hope to leave time at the end to do that. Okay, let's look at, I'm going to change the order a little bit. Let's take a look at if I'm mounted. This is going to be a choke from mount in no-gi, of which we have, very few. Usually no-gi, we have to attack the arms, shoulders. We can bug the neck, but finishing a choke is sometimes harder. So I'm going to do this. He's being really good with his elbows. And then one of the things about mount, is that he can either protect his elbows or protect his neck. A lot of people start by protecting their elbows because he just doesn't want me to shimmy way up. But so a lot of times that leaves a space between his hands and his neck. That is, yes, sometimes we come in to bug the neck in ways where we immediately give him pain. But I'm going to do something like a little bit stealthier than tell him I'm bugging his neck, and that is to set up this choke here. So I'm going to offset my weight. Notice I'm sitting on one side of him, and this leg got light. Okay. I'm going to offset my weight, but I'm going to do it with my hand out for base. So I am going to put my hand out for base. And this hand's going to be out too. And what, unbeknownst to him, is that I'm lining up my elbow with his chin, right? So no matter what, I usually show this when someone doesn't offset enough. So don't be that person, right? Make sure you super offset. I'm way over here. You can't throw me this way because I have plenty of base here, but I'm way over here. And I have to be way over here for my elbow to line up with his throat. But I don't want to put my elbow pit, for lack of a better word, it's probably a scientific word for that. I don't want to put that on his throat because that tells him choke. I'd rather put my elbow bone like on his chest. That just feels like an insignificant obstacle to him possibly sitting up. So I'm here. The mistake that he might make, and there's some bluffs I can do to like encourage this, like having my foot be like kind of light over here, so he starts thinking about elbow scaping. Yeah, is sometimes they'll pick their head up. That's either to turn on their side, which is probably a better answer, like turning on his side to do an elbow scape. And some people just want to see. I'm doing something with my foot over here. He wants to see. It's a mistake to pick your head up from now. It's a mistake because there's guillotine and stuff like that. But he may realize, oh, it's gonna be hard for him to fully wrap the guillotine just because I picked my head up in this instance. So I'm way over here. My elbow is set up. When he picks his head up, I wrap. And when I wrap, I don't just bend. It's not just like bend my arm. I really want to make a connection under this ear that goes all the way to under the other ear. So I sort of put my shoulder against it and then wrap it. A nice relaxed arm. It's not a big muscle arm. He picks his head up. I wrap that. I'm going to put together an S grip. I'm palm down with the wrapping arm. Wrap, palm down. The other hand creates the S grip. And I'm going to put my shoulder down what feels to me like beside his neck. So this is in a lot of ways the mechanic that we have to, the mindset we have to have when we're doing the mechanics for a north-south choke. So I call this a north-north choke. Right? Because the mechanic really is the same. I have to get my shoulder over beside his neck, or that's what it feels like to me. Although I know that I've seen video of myself doing it. It looks like I'm putting my shoulder down on his neck. That's not the finish. It's not that I'm, giving him head pressure with my shoulder. I'm trying to put my shoulder down next to his head. So steps are offset. I'm way over here in stealthy Puma mode. I'm like way over here. But do not put your arm on his throat. That tells him what I'm doing. It's floating overhand, and maybe you're like a little light over here and he starts to look. That's when I wrap, I grip. The grip does make it tighter, and then I'm aiming my shoulder down next to his neck. Is that a blood choke? Yeah. Yeah, that should be a blood choke. So we shouldn't be like coughing. And if you're coughing, it might mean that you wrapped it right, but you're like leaning. If you lean onto his face, you'll close his jaw, maybe you'll give him a little trach pressure and they'll cough. And that's a sign that you need to aim beside their head. So last time, I offset, he picks up his head. I wrap an S grip. S grip makes it even tighter. I put my shoulder aimed next to their head on the side you're on. I'm over here. Try to put your shoulder down here. Let's try it. 3, 2, 1. Okay. I also mentioned Jeff Glover. So I had the opportunity I went to San Diego and it was actually my friend paying me back for house sitting, got me a private lesson with Jeff Glover. And I ended up doing, the one private with Jeff Glover. In one private, this guy caught me in the darce. You may know this about him. He caught me in the darce like 30 times. And I swear 20 of them were the same setup I just did not figure out for an embarrassingly long period of time. So I'm going to show you the setup that he used on me for darce. I actually just posted this on my Instagram too, so I know I'm friends with some of you guys that probably saw it there. But we're going to start in my butterfly guard. He's kneeling. This might be the start of the match. Boom, boom. Okay. The bait is this. This is the bait. Why? Because if you think about what he sees right now, what he sees is a clear path to my back, right? So there's the only thing in the way, and it's barely is this thing, so he's just going to move it out of the way and go behind me, right? So go ahead and do that. So boom, he goes around behind me. All right. Good move shot, right? That's fine. It would be my bad if it was not intentional, but it's intentional, right? So we're here, and I'm gonna do this. Now, if he doesn't do the thing that I have triggered to happen, that I'm hoping happens with my trigger, which is this, if he does something else, I can keep fighting from here. I can set this trigger up, and he can do the wrong thing a few times, and I can keep setting up. And he might be like, why is this guy doing this? But the reason is I'm waiting for this bait. If he uses this hand, the cross hand, same side hand as my knee, same side, to push it across, to give him this angle to my back, I have this entry to the darce right here, okay? So the move is, I show him my back with this weak little knee in the way, he pushes the knee, and I get I get a perfect entry to a darce. So from here, I'm holding his neck. I've gone armpit, this is the thing about a darce. Armpit to ear. And in this case, I'm gonna hold his neck to keep his head from posturing. And then I'm gonna bring my elbow on top to crush it down just a little more to put my hands together. So I'm gonna show you the way that I most often finish the darce. This is me. I most often finish, what does he call it, a marce? The one from the bottom, where I'm on the bottom, you'll see. So not a top position. He pushes this, I swim in, I crush this down. Now I look over my shoulder on his side, and I knock him over. I'm looking for a leg from here to hold on to, and then my elbows come together, and I bring his chin to his chest. Elbows come together, and I bring his chin to his chest. Think about where their chin is, and you want to bring it down. Okay. So the setup is, I give him this. He takes it. So I have this perfect entrance right here. Now I crush the head down, or I cover the head with my tricep so that I can get my fingers on my bicep. My hand goes down his back. I'm gonna look over my shoulder, knock him over, trying to catch a leg here. Elbows together, you're bringing his chin to his chest. So that if the darce is new to you and you're having trouble with that part, no problem, I'll be walking around. We have some time. Last time, face him. The bait is that I turn a little bit. He turns me more, I get this entry. I've got his neck. I cover his head with my tricep. That gives me my grip. I come here. I look over my shoulder to fall this way, catch the leg. That's why I've historically most often caught that move. There are ways to get on top and finish too, but let's try that one. 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's 4 of. Take 2 minutes each to practice your favorite one. Like think back. We did a few. We did a spinning wrist lock from a guillotine attempt. We did a wrist lock from the bottom of kesa. We did the Nino Shembri. We did this one. We did the, what else? The Americana. Yeah, that was this one, right? Got it here.
And then the navy one darce.
We did this, yeah, we did the darce one, and maybe I'm forgetting one. But yeah. The north choke from Mount. That's right. Yeah, okay. So practice your favorite one. You get like kind of like 2 minutes each. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. That's it for my time. Thank you so much for your attention. You guys did a great job. Thank you so much. As build, these are sneaky moves. I think maybe 1 or 2 you had not seen before. In most cases, that was the feedback I got, and that's what I wanted. You know, again, this is not high percentage chokes from a position. This is like some fancy stuff, but let's have fun with jiu-jitsu, right? That was this class. But I'm telling you, you can hit these moves. These can be high percentage for you if there's something that you do a lot. And you'll get better at them the more you practice them. So just go ahead and throw them at your opponents. We're having fun when we roll anyway, and see what happens. Anyway, thanks again for your time. I'd love to get a picture. Is that cool? Yeah. I'll get a picture of Preet at the end. All right, so stay for Preet, and we'll all get a picture at the end. All right?